This is the story of the three little pigs, but it's a little different because this is the true story of the three little pigs. And it's always been my favorite story, and I hope that you will like it too, because this is what really happened. Well, everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story of the three little pigs because nobody has heard my side of the story. I am the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, and you can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves like to eat the cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think that you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar, and this is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny, and I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a little pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind builds a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute that I knocked on that door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, little pig, are you in?" There was no answer, and I was just about to go home without that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's cake. And that's when my nose started to itch, and I felt a sneeze a-coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great big sneeze. And you know what? That whole house fell right down, right in the middle of that pile of straw. There laid that first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Well, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner laying right there in the straw, so I ate him up. Now just think of it as a big old cheeseburger. You would have ate him up too. Now I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. Now this neighbor was the first little pig's brother, and he was a little bit smarter. He had built his house out of sticks. So I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. So I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And he yelled back, "Go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." Well, I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great big sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell in just like his brother's. And when the dust cleared, there's that second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Well, now, you know that food will spoil if you leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing that there was to do. I had dinner again. Just think of it as a second helping. Well, I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. Now, this guy was the first and second little pig's brother, and he must have been the brains of the family because he had built his house out of brick. Well, I knocked on the brick house, and there was no answer. Well, I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf, and don't bother me again." Well, talk about impolite. And he probably had a whole sack full of sugar right in there in the kitchen. And he wouldn't even give me one little cupful for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. Well, I was just about to go on home and maybe just make a little nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt that cold coming on again. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. And then that third little piggy yelled, "And your old granny can just sit on a pin." Well, now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny, well, I go a little bit crazy. So, when the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was a huffing and a puffing and a sneezing, and I was making a real scene. And the rest of the story, as they say, is history. That's how I got my name. The news reporters they found out about those two pigs that I'd already ate for dinner. And they figured that a sick guy going around to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. Wasn't going to make too good of a news story, so they jazzed up that story with all that old huff and puff and blow your house down stuff, and they turned me right into a big bad wolf, and that's it. I was framed. So now you know the rest of the story. And maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. And I hope that you like that story as much as I do. But most important, now you know the true story of the three little pigs.